Hello, everyone. Let's just wait for a couple of minutes more and then we can begin. Hello, guys. How are you all doing? Welcome to the new feature launch for December 2021. And thank you all for joining in and taking out the time to join this session. And we always try to make it better for you, and we've been having it for the past few months now. And we've received some valuable feedback upon which we've been improving ourselves as well. Just to explain a few logistics of this event, is that first we'll be talking about all the features that we'll be releasing and giving you the demos for it. But I'd want you all to keep your mics at mute at all times. And at the end of the session, we'll be taking in all the questions for any features that we've presented. And you may drop all your questions in the chat window, and we'll be answering them at the end of the session. Okay. So let's move further then. Yeah. So just to give you a recap of what happened in our last webinar, we basically talked about some exciting new features that we introduced last time. There were changes regarding claims, and there were some new kind of SKUs that you were able to create in the system. And for the first time, we also presented you the demo for our mobile application for the new features that we've developed in our mobile application. And then we lastly again we talked about this the minor system improvements that we did. Okay, so this was just to give you a recap of what happened in our last webinar. Similar to this pattern, we'll be following again. Yeah, so but just before starting, आप लोगों को थोड़ा सा मैं current innovation plan के भी बता दूं that so the 5th December innovation plan is what we've followed this time, and 5th January and 5th February is just to give you a rough idea of what you can expect in the next release. Okay, but this is usually subject to change. But the 5th December release is what we've worked on and what we'll be talking about. Okay. Moving on, I'll be talking about the agenda for this session. So the session is divided into 3 parts. Firstly, we'll be talking about our web features, their importance, and followed by their demo. The second, we'll be talking about the mobile application features, followed by their demo. And lastly, we'll be talking about the minor system improvements that we've done, something that is not that significant, but has a huge impact on daily distributor operations. Okay. So yeah, so moving to the first part of our agenda. So the first feature that we'll be talking about is defining store-wise credit limits. Now, for customers who have been using Salesflo for a very long time, know that Salesflo is able to manage all distributor operations from order booking to invoicing to maintaining store ledgers, and giving you the options of payment adjustments and invoice knocking off. But there was no feature to set store-wise credit limit. Okay, now in reality, if you visit basically the on-ground reality, अगर आप देखें तो उसमें ये होता है कि आपको एक स्टोर को आप उधार एक certain limit तक के देना चाहते हो, ठीक है. There can be a few stores जिस पे where there is leniency, but there are a lot of stores where you want to restrict your billing until and unless the retailer clears the credit, right? सो उसके ऊपर हमने फीचर बनाया है कि वो रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर सके, या फिर इट्स योर चॉइस इफ यू वांट टू रिस्ट्रिक्ट और यू वांट टू सिर्फ आपने प्रॉम्प्ट दिखाना है ऑन स्टॉक एलोकेशन. ठीक है, सो दिस फीचर विल बी हेल्पिंग यू इन रिकवरी ऑफ योर क्रेडिट फ्रॉम द मार्केट. So we'll be talking about in more detail about this feature when someone from my team will be giving you a demo for it. Okay, so over to Saman.
Okay, Saman, you have to unshare your screen. So yes. Hello everyone, it's Saman Qasim. I hope you all are doing well. So yes, I will just add into the Saman. She has already defined a lot about the credit module. So we will just directly go into the module, and there we will discuss more some details of the credit module. So actually credit module हम बना क्यों रहे हैं और इसका पर्पस क्या है बनाने का. सो नॉर्मली होता क्या है कि आज अगर आप किसी स्टोर पे ऑर्डर बुकिंग कर रहे हैं तो यू आर जस्ट बुकिंग इन केस आप सिर्फ बुकिंग कर रहे हैं. अगर आपकी रिकवरी आ जाती है तो आप पेमेंट के थ्रू पेमेंट कलेक्शन का मॉड्यूल यूज करते हुए लोड फ्रॉम सेटलमेंट पे जब आप अपने सेटल कर रहे हैं तब आप पेमेंट्स की डिटेल्स डाल के वहां पर अपनी जो भी रिकवरी आती है उसको मैनेज कर लेते हैं. बट देयर इज नो सिस्टम इन प्लेस जहाँ पे सिस्टम जो है कॉन्शियसली बता रहा हो यूजर को कि आप यू हैव डिफाइंड सर्टेन लिमिट ऑन द सर्टेन स्टोर और अब इस स्टोर की लिमिट एक्सीड होने लगी है या एक्सीड होने वाली है, व्हाट यू वांटेड टू डू, notify the certain store, or do you wanted to block invoicing on the certain store until and unless you get your whole amount recovered, right? So इसको इसमें हमने this form you is visible here is the definition or the policy of the current limit जो आप define कर रहे होंगे against the distribution and their stores, राइट देन अब जो पॉलिसी आप यहाँ डिफाइन करेंगे वो पॉलिसी आपकी रिफ्लेक्ट हो रही होगी एट द टाइम ऑफ इनवॉइस एलोकेशन. सो एट द टाइम ऑफ एलोकेशन एपीयू कैन टेक द डिसीजन एट द टाइम के लाइक पॉलिसी में जो आपका डिसीजन मेकिंग है वो आप पॉलिसी में ही डिफाइन कर रहे होंगे कि नोटिफाई करना है आपने या फिर ब्लॉक करना है. देन आप जब एलोकेशन पर जाएंगे एट दैट पॉइंट सिस्टम आपको बताएगा कि आपकी इनवॉइसिंग जो है अगेंस्ट दैट स्टोर, आपका जो सर्टेन अमाउंट क्रेडिट लिमिट आपने अमाउंट में डिफाइन की है, देयर आर सर्टेन मैट्रिक्स जो कि हमने बनाई है, वो अगर रीच आउट कर रही हैं या फिर एक्सीड कर रही हैं तो वो सिस्टम आपको अकॉर्डिंग टू योर पॉलिसी वहां पर डिसीजन ले रहा होगा. अदर देन दैट आपने जो पॉलिसी यहाँ डिफाइन की है, दिस पॉलिसी विल आल्सो बी रिफ्लेक्टिंग ऑन द मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन. सो जब आप एज एन जब व्हेन द बुकर इज गोइंग टू द स्टोर और वो स्टोर के पास जाके ऑर्डर ले रहा है, ठीक है, तो जो क्रेडिट रिकवरी का मैकेनिज्म है, जो क्रेडिट अगर इन केस सर्टेन स्टोर है उसके ऊपर जो आपकी क्रेडिट लिमिट है वो रीच करने वाली है या बर्स्ट होने वाली है, तो इट विल बी विजिबल टू द कस्टमर टू द बुकर देयर, सो दैट वो ये जो भी इशू है क्रेडिट का वो बुकर वहीं पे ही स्टोर के साथ डिस्कस करके वहीं पे सॉर्ट आउट कर सकता है, रादर देन स्टोर से ऑर्डर आ गया है और फिर without having in the knowledge of the knowledge of store keeper आप एलोकेशन पे आके इनवॉइस हम खत्म करें या एलोकेशन पे आके उस ऑर्डर को रोकें. सो ये this credit limit feature will be on mobile application and on web application as well at the time of stock allocation. चले हम आगे अब ये बात कर लेते हैं कि हम डिफाइन किस तरह से कर रहे होंगे. तो यू कैन सी देयर इज अ फिल्टर ऑफ ऑर्डर, फिल्टर ऑफ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. So as you select the distributor, the distributor के जो भी stores उस distributor को assign है वो सारे यहाँ list down हो जाएंगे. Let me just select two distributors. यहाँ मैं select कर लेती हूँ what action do I need to do. Do I need to notify those stores only or do I want to block invoicing on those stores. मैं select कर लेती हूँ कि मुझे invoicing block करनी है. I don't want to let these stores do more invoicing on if their limit has breached. ठीक है, मैं बना देती हूँ अमाउंट पे. एंड yes, always there is an option of active inactive. You want to inactive any credit limit, you can based on certain limitation. So मैं यहाँ इसकी लिमिट रख देती हूँ 2000 रुपीज. एंड देयर इज सेकंड स्टोर, उसकी भी लिमिट मैंने 2000 रुपीज डिफाइन कर दी है. सो एज आई सेव इट तो सिस्टम आपको बता देगा रिकॉर्ड हैज बीन सक्सेसफुली एडेड और ये रिकॉर्ड ऐड हो गया है. सो लेट मी जस्ट टेक एनी ऑफ द स्टोर and place order against. Okay. मैं इस ऑर्डर को के अगेंस्ट ऑर्डर इस स्टोर के अगेंस्ट ऑर्डर लगा लेती हूँ. देन आई एलोकेट दैट ऑर्डर. डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बुकर स्टोर. ओके. So I'm also changing the delivery date on mine. Local store. Okay. So the SKU I am picking is this. मैं पहले लगा देती हूँ order which is under the credit limit. Its the amount is 1368 at secondary order. Okay, let me just allocate this order. Okay, तो अब KPO यहाँ पे आके इनवॉइसेस वगैरह करेगा. So जब वो इनवॉइस करेगा, the order delivery date was of 9. हमने तवक्कल स्टोर का ऑर्डर लगाया तो I'll just select the तवक्कल store, execute and allocate. राइट। तो जब मैं एलोकेशन की स्क्रीन पर आती हूँ तो मुझे सिस्टम यहाँ बताता है कि आपकी क्रेडिट लिमिट का स्टेटस क्या है, अभी आपकी लिमिट टाइप क्या है, और अगर इन केस एक्सीड हो जाता है तो वहां पे आपको एक्सीड अमाउंट बताता है, अगर एक्सीड डेज है या एक्सीड लिमिट बिल्स हैं तो वो भी बताता है, राइट। सो अभी मेरा क्योंकि लिमिट मेरी 2000 डिफाइन हुई थी, लेट मी जस्ट शो यू द लिमिट, इट्स 2000, और मैं यहाँ पर आती हूँ तो बिल मेरा अंडर 2000 है, ठीक है। तो सिस्टम मुझे अभी इनवॉइस बनाने दे, राइट। ये मेरी इनवॉइस जो है वो क्रिएट हो गई है। Let me just go back on the order screen again. Let me just print that invoice as well on the invoicing screen. Al-Tawakkal store, ये इसकी invoice है, right? 1329 is the amount of invoice. हम एक और order लगा लेते हैं against same order booker, against same store. And for the same distributor as well. ओके मैंने अगेन 10 यूनिट्स ऑर्डर किए, अब इसकी अमाउंट भी 1368 है, राइट। आई हैव एडिड दैट ऑर्डर। सो प्रीवियस जो ऑर्डर था उसकी अमाउंट भी 1368 थी, और जो न्यू ऑर्डर है इसकी अमाउंट भी 1368 है। सो इफ वी सम अप इट विल बिकम समथिंग लाइक 2700 के अराउंड या 2700 समथिंग बनता है। सो अकॉर्डिंग टू द लिमिट इनवॉइस इंजन एलोकेशन पे अब हमें ये इनवॉइस बनने से सिस्टम को रोक देना चाहिए। So let's just check on the invoice allocation. Oops, I forget to check the delivery date. It's 9. Right. Tawakkal store है हमारा. Let me just select all order bookers. Ten December, right? Delivery date. Okay. So here it is. Yeah. So यहाँ सिस्टम ने आपको प्रॉम्प्ट कर दिया लिमिट एक्सीडेड, एक्सीड जो हुई है अमाउंट विच इज 648, एंड क्योंकि हमने ब्लॉक का स्टेटस रखा हुआ है यहाँ, तो सिस्टम को अपेरेंटली सिस्टम शुड नॉट हैव टू शुड नॉट अलाउ अस टू क्रिएट द नॉइस। लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंड। यस, सो यहाँ पे सिस्टम ने रोक दिया, यू कैन नॉट जनरेट एनी नॉइस ड्यू टू द क्रेडिट लिमिट एक्सीडेड। So if you select the notify in your limit policy, credit limit policy, at that time system will not stop you creating invoice. It just start notifying you before creating invoices. So बाकी rest of the information will remain same. So अगर हम credit limit के मॉड्यूल पर again फिर से वापस आ जाते हैं, yes. So here you have option of edit this credit limit. आप edit के फॉर्म पर जाके जो आपने लिमिट की अगर वैल्यू चेंज करनी है, you can do this. You can also inactive the credit limit. Plus, if you find this job tedious to create credit limit from web form, we have also providing the option to create credit limits via CSV or via bulk uploads, and you can also download you can also download those credit limits which are already being created. Yeah, so Saman, that's it from my side.
Thank you, Saman, for the comprehensive demo. I'll go back to sharing my screen now. Yeah. So the next feature that we'll be talking about is the basically feasibility of changing the distributor type. So for customers who have been using our MDSD module know that they've been creating master distributors and sub distributors in the system. They've also created direct distributors in the system, but they were unable to edit the distributor type. Say, but if you see in actual distributor operations, what happens is an SD can be promoted to a direct distributor, or an SD can be demoted, and a direct distributor can be demoted to an SD, right? So these transactions had to be performed in the system as well. And another case that used to come up from customers as well was that any MD that has resigned needs a new MD, right, to replace the head for all the SDs. So that too has been implemented in the system now, and Zoha will be giving you the demo for this feature. And if you have any questions regarding this, so you might drop them in the chat window as well. Okay. So over to you, Zoha.
Right. Thank you, Saman. I'll be sharing my screen now. Okay. Okay. So as Saman said, that previously we did not have the capability in the system to change the distributor type of the distributor. That is that initially there were, and currently as well, there are three distributor types in the system. That is a direct distributor, a sub-distributor, and a master distributor. Now, what previously used to happen was that once you open a distributor and assign a type to that particular distributor, that is, I create a distributor for the first time and I assign it a type DD, right? And then later on, I decide that I need to promote it or like demote it to a certain other type of distributor. In that particular case, the system did not have the capability to change the type of the distributor. So now what we've done is that once you created the distributor in the system, it will obviously have a particular type. That is, if I have a test distributor and I open it with the type SD, I can change the type of that particular distributor to DD as well, right? So there are certain promotion demotion scenarios that we catered in this particular feature. So the two things that I'll be talking about would be, the first one would be SD being promoted to a DD, that is SD becoming big enough to then buy eventually from a manufacturer and becoming and holding a status of a DD. And then the other scenario would be DD being demoted to an SD, right? That is DD, the distributor is not buying from the manufacturer directly. Now it will have an MD over it. Before, initially it was the manufacturer itself. Now it would be a master distributor. So as for the demo part, I will be walking you through the distributors. So this is the tab which has all the distributions, right? So once you create a distribution in the system, it shows in this particular grid, right? And you can see, like on the right, you can see there are different distributor types to that particular distributor, right? So I'll edit an SD. So this is a distributor and it is of the type sub-distributor. Once I edit it, I have the option to promote it to a DD, right? That is, okay, initially it was an SD, that is, it was buying from an MD. Now it has become a DD and it is buying directly from a manufacturer. So there's a linkage that is being disconnected. So SD to MD linkage is being irrelevant in this scenario, and a linkage between a distributor and a manufacturer is being created in this particular case. So I changed the status of the SD to DD. The master distributor that the SD had before becomes the frozen field. You can't edit this because initially it was an SD and the master distributor for that SD was this Engro MIS. Then it becomes frozen. You can't change it because it's a DD. It has to be, it has to be linked with a manufacturer. So you go down and you select a manufacturer that the SD would be linked to. I select a manufacturer and assign the business unit. Now, what's important here is to note that the SD directly does not have a linkage with the manufacturer, right? SD would have linkage with its master distributor. Now, since we've converted the SD into a DD, we need to establish between the DD, the now DD, and a manufacturer. So this is where you're doing that. And we save it. That you define on SD, right? That are MD, they all become irrelevant in this case because now it's a DD, right? Now we go back and I'll show the vice versa case. That is, we'll change a DD to an SD. So I select the DD. Please unmute. Right, so for this particular case, what I did was I'm editing a DD now. That is, this is a DD and I changed this DD's type to SD, right? So the first thing that needs to happen is that you need to establish the linkage between a SD and it has to have a MD, right? So I select a MD that this SD would be reporting to, right? Then there are certain fields that are particular to SD. And they're irrelevant in the case of a direct distributor. That is, you select a channel, you select a sub-channel, you select the sub-distributor's sub-locality, and then you save it. Now, what's important here is that you note there is no manufacturer and business unit linkage present in the SD's form. Initially, when I was a DD, it was mandatory for us to define the manufacturer and the business unit, right? Because the linkage needs to be there. But since it's a SD now, the only linkage that is important is the master distributor that is defined against that particular SD and the channel and the sub-channel that we're defining against that particular SD. We're going to save the SD and we've successfully converted a DD into a SD now, right? So this was initially the SD to DD and DD to SD promote-demote scenario. Another such case would be that if a perfectly fine MD is there which has some SDs linked to it, right? But the MD decides to go inactive. That is, the MD is resigning. In such a case, what should happen is that we should be able to assign the sub-distributors that are assigned to that particular MD to some other MD, right? So that वो जो linkage है SD का MD से, when that particular MD is resigning, what would happen to that SDs? They can't just disappear, right? So they need to be linked with some other MD. So what we're going to do is we're going to see this master distributor. We're going to edit this master distributor, and when we make this master distributor inactive, what this screen prompts is that you now need to select another MD, which will eventually, what will happen was all the SDs that are, or all the SDs and the SDs will eventually have entities attached to it, right? For example, the stores, the app users, the delivery man. So all of those entities that are attached to this master distributor by a direct or indirect relationship are to be transferred to another MD. And that MD would be the one that I selected right after I changed the status of the SD, of the MD, right? So on inactive, I can now shift all of these entities to this new MD, which the SDs belonging to the old MD will be reporting to, right? So I can save it and then we can have the MD resignation scenario covered as well, right? Now, what's there to note in terms of this feature's impact on other modules, for example, in terms of reporting, what needs to be understood is that initially there was a distributor, let's say distributor A, and it had, it was a DD, right? So when we're looking into the reports, right, there's a distributor type filter. If you select the type DD, you'll see the sales against that particular distributor accumulated for that particular time period, जब तक कि वो DD था. As soon as it becomes an SD, you'll have to select that particular filter. That is, the distributor type filter should be SD in order for you to see the new sales as SD. If you want to see the aggregated sales of the distributor, despite of it being an SD, MD, or DD, you need to select all types so that you can see the sum of sales that are being, that have been sold, or the amount of total sales that the distributor has done for that particular type. So this is the whole MDSD promote demote scenario. If you guys have any questions, you guys can leave it in the chat and we'll answer it at the end. And then over to Saman now.
Thank you, Zoha. Okay, so I'll continue sharing my screen again. Yeah. So the third web feature that we'll be talking about is the dynamic approval hierarchy that you can set for claims, both for requisition of claims and approval of claims. Okay, so I'll explain थोड़ा सा कि ये होता क्या है अभी. If you see currently, for those customers who have been using our end-to-end claims module for raising their claims, there are different types of claims that you can create in the system. For example, trade offers, rentals, or damage return claims. Okay, but there can be different people who can be raising those claims on either on behalf of the distributor, or maybe the head office team wants to generate those claims and just display it to the distribution. So these are different use cases that we picked up from the market as well, and we've developed them. Yes, similarly on the approval side as well. So you can have one person who can be approving trade offer claims, and then there can be another person who is approving the damage return claims, right? So on each level, now you'll be able to set a designation that can that is eligible for the approval and the respective user as well, right? So this will be giving you, more control over your claims management. And for those customers who are, perfectly satisfied with the claims module currently, this setting will not impact you guys, since we've developed it modularly. This for those customers who wish to use this feature can simply have it turned on through system settings, and then they can start using it. Okay. So more details regarding how you can set your claim type-wise requisition and approval rights will be talked about in the demo, and Zoha will be presenting you with it. So over to you, Zoha.
All right, thank you, Saman. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen now. Right. So as Saman talked about the claims module, so I'll be going on to the claims screen. Okay, so right before I delve into onto the demo itself, I would talk a little about how the previous functionality worked and now what are the changes that we are incorporating. Right. So initially, what used to happen was that anybody who had access to the claims module could raise a claim, right? So the requisition rights were not controlled. They were for anybody to raise the claim, right? Similarly, for the approval hierarchy, what used to happen was you defined the approval levels, that these are the approval levels that are to be followed for all the claim types. That is, we'll have 3 levels of approvals for the entire claims module, and the 3 levels will have a certain number of people approving them, right? But for now, what we've done is that we've made all of this dynamic, right? And we've made it modular. So all the clients that are good with the claims module right now, that is, they do not have a dynamic hierarchy in terms of both requisition as well as approval. That is, they do not need claim type-wise segregation for those who will be requesting the claim or those who will be approving the claim. They can use the claims module as it is. There'll be no change for them to adapt to. So they're good to go. So I'll show you the setting which can be enabled and disabled for you if you want this particular feature or if you do not want this particular feature. So we go on to the claims settings module, right? So initially, for those of you who know who've seen the claims module or who've used the claims module know that the requisition settings used to look like this. So if I zoom in, this was the setting that was not here before. These were all the settings that were there before, right? So if you would want claim type wise requisition rights, you can enable it. So I'll enable it, and I can have all the claim types that exist in the system. Now these are claim types and are not to be confused with claim subtypes. So all the claim types that exist in the system will populate here on the left. Against those particular claim types, you are going to select the designation, the particular designation which will be allowed to raise the claim, and then the users against those designations that will be allowed to raise the claim. Now this situation arises now, obviously, in most scenarios, for those of you who are using the claims module itself would know that we do not need requisition rights. But a few business cases did point out that in certain situations, there are certain types of claims, such as, let's say, general claims. General claims cannot be raised by a distributor and can only be raised by the head office, right? So in certain scenarios where you need more control over who's raising the claim and who's raising what sort of claim, you can use this particular module, right? So here you're restricting that, oh, this particular, so let's say trade offers claim is supposed to be raised by only this designation, and only these number of users will be allowed to raise the claim, right? So this builds more control over the financial part of the business, right? So you can save this setting. And let's say I will select all. And since my ID is, I'll save the setting. And the setting has been saved. Now, before moving on to the approval part, I will go on to the claims module and show you how I can raise the claim, because I've been given the right to raise the claim. So I'll go into the claim requisition screen. I select a distributor. And I was given the right to raise the claim for trade offer, and hence I can raise the claim of trade offer. I can see what particular promotions belong to this particular claim, but I can raise the claim for this particular portion, right? Now moving on to the approvals part. So I will go on to the settings again. Again, we have to move on to the claim settings module. Since we've checked out the requisition part, now we'll move on to the approval part. Here, what's different is that initially what used to happen was, as I said, there were set levels. You can set dynamic levels, all right? And then you can select designations and users against those levels, right? But this applies to all types of claims. So if I'm a user for whom only trade offer claims are relevant, I still have to go through the entire list of claims and approve them in order for them to move forward to the next level, right? In order to cater to that particular scenario, we built this dynamic approval hierarchy, which would be entirely claim type based. So once I enable the claim type based approval hierarchy, what I see is that I can see the number of, these are all the claim types that are being fetched from the claim types table that we have already created. So this again is not claim subtypes, this is claim types. You select the number of levels. Achha, this is where you view how many levels have been created against these types. Let's see trade offer. So trade offer has 2 levels against it. I can view what designation it's been assigned and what users can approve this. I can also edit this, and I can set the dynamic levels and then the designation against those levels and then users accordingly. So what will eventually happen is that if I'm a user for whom only, let's say, SDR claims are relevant, I can set the approval hierarchy as such that I can only approve SDR claims, and I won't be able to see, let's say, rental or how many other claims that are existing, already existing in the system. I won't be able to see those, and I'll just see what's relevant to me, and I'll be able to approve or reject those. So this is the entire dynamic claim approval and requisition hierarchy that we've made for the claims module. And now over to Saman.
Thank you, Zoha. Okay, so I'll come back onto the agenda part. So now that we've covered the first part of our agenda, we'll be moving on to the mobile app feature demos and what we've created for you guys in the application. Just to give you a little update, so the application will be going live on the 15th of December, and that is next week. And we're presenting it to you right now because otherwise it'll be very late for the next feature release. That's why हम अभी आपको इसका present कर रहे हैं. And the application will go live in the next week. Okay, so the features that we worked on is batch wise हमारे SDR returns हैं and stock replacement for those customers who are using our batch wise module. They will be able to use this. Otherwise जो batch wise नहीं use कर रहे हैं उनके लिए regular जो हमारा SDR returns का stock replacement का module है वो वैसे ही काम करेगा. They can also raise fresh stock against it. So this part was being catered on the web panel, but it wasn't being catered in the mobile application. So now we've implemented in our mobile app as well. So an order booker does not need to come back and tell कि ये or come back and tell to the KPO okay, this is the return or stock being replaced, and this is the fresh stock that needs to go in to the retailer again. So it'll minimize the step of coming back and telling to the KPO. Secondly, we worked more on highlighting your top products, and another thing that we worked on is the dynamic sorting of SKUs. So there are a few priority SKUs that the customer would want to highlight in the application, but they're very deep down because the default that was being used was the alphabetical order sorting for SKUs. So now you'll be able to apply indexing on the SKUs, and then in the mobile app, you'll be able to see them according to that preference only. So Salman will be talking about and giving you the live demo of the application of how this feature will be working. These features will be working. So over to Salman.
Thank you, Saman. So I'll be presenting some of the features that we will be launching in our upcoming release. So let me go through those features one by one. I hope you all can see my screen, right? Okay. So the first feature that I'll be talking about is the batch-wise SDR. So जो companies basically जो batch setting use कर रही होती हैं, तो बेसिकली उनको रिटर्न्स एंड डैमेज की जो रिक्वेस्ट होती है वो भी बैच वाइज ही प्रोसेस करनी चाहिए. सो इफ यू गो टू डैमेज एंड रिटर्न स्क्रीन, सो जब भी आप कोई भी एसक्यू सेलेक्ट करते हैं देन यू कैन ऐड इट्स रीजन एंड द सब रीजन, एंड जो बैच नंबर होता है वो आप उसके अगेंस्ट सेलेक्ट कर सकते हैं. तो प्रीवियसली एसडीआर रिटर्न तो हो जाता था, लेकिन उसके अगेंस्ट आप बैच नंबर नहीं स्पेसिफाई कर सकते थे. तो यहाँ बैच नंबर स्पेसिफाई कर सकते हैं किसी भी एसक्यू के अगेंस्ट, किस बैच के अगेंस्ट आप बेसिकली रिटर्न कर रहे हैं. एंड दिस बैच नंबर्स वुड बी ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड, ऑटो सजेस्टेड. सिस्टम खुद ही सजेस्ट कर देगा कि आपने बैच नंबर कौन से रिटर्न करना है. एंड ऑब्वियसली एक एसक्यू के अगेंस्ट मल्टीपल बैचेस होते हैं, सो दिस फीचर वुड वर्क इन ऑनलाइन मोड ओनली. सो ऑर्डर बुकर्स वुड बी एबल टू रिटर्न स्टॉक बेस्ड ऑन बैच नंबर. तो वो यहाँ बैच नंबर सेलेक्ट कर लेगा एंड उसकी रिक्वेस्ट वेब पैनल पे चली जाएगी. सो सिमिलरली विद इन द सेम स्क्रीन, फॉर एग्जांपल कोई दुकान है, वो कहती है कि शॉपकीपर है, वो कहता है कि उसका डैमेज तो हो गया, उसने रिक्वेस्ट तो डाल दी, लेकिन उसको एक नया फ्रेश स्टॉक भी चाहिए. सो रादर देन टेलिंग द केपीओ एज समन सेड, तो विद इन द सेम स्क्रीन वो नया फ्रेश स्टॉक की रिक्वेस्ट डाल सकता है. एंड दिस फॉर एग्जाम्पल वो अगर कोई स्टॉक है तो उसको पंच कर सकता है यही उसका ऑर्डर, एंड दिस वुड बी डायरेक्टली गो टू सेकेंडरी ऑर्डर्स. तो डायरेक्टली वो यहाँ से ऑर्डर पंच कर सकता है, वो डायरेक्टली सेकेंडरी ऑर्डर्स पे जाके उसका फ्रेश स्टॉक की रिक्वेस्ट चली जाएगी. एंड देन जैसे सेकेंडरी ऑर्डर से ऑर्डर टू कैश का साइकिल होता है वो एग्जैक्टली वैसी प्रोसेस होती है. सो सिमिलरली जैसे हमने बैच वाइज एसडीआर किया है, इसी तरह ऑन रिप्लेसमेंट भी हम बैच वाइज कर सकते हैं. सो इफ आई गो टू रिप्लेसमेंट स्क्रीन, सो आप कोई भी एसक्यू को बैच नंबर के अगेंस्ट उसको रिप्लेस भी कर सकते हैं. So this is a more added flexibility for those companies that are using batch settings. So let me visit one store. Okay. Okay, so we also worked on SKU and brand level customizations. So जो हमने last release की थी उसमें हमने already SKU को जो टॉप सेलिंग SKUs होते हैं उसको ऑलरेडी हाईलाइट भी किया था. एंड कोई भी SKU आपका मस्ट सेल है देन उस मस्ट सेल के लेबल्स भी आ रहे थे. सो वी वर्क फर्दर ऑन इट. कोई भी अगर आपको SKU के अगेंस्ट अगर कोई कस्टम लेबल देना है, फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे यहाँ वैल्यू एडेड का लेबल आ रहा है, सो उससे ये होगा कि ऑर्डर बुकर्स को एक तरीके से मैसेज भी आप लोग दे रहे होंगे कि थोड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट प्रायोरिटी SKUs है, आप उसको सेल करो. सो यू कैन डायनेमिकली डिफाइन दीज कस्टम लेबल्स ऑन SKUs. सिमिलरली ये जो आपको स्टार आइकन दिख रहा है, आप SKU के अगेंस्ट डायनेमिकली ये जो स्टार आइकन है वो भी डिफाइन कर सकते हैं फ्रॉम द वेब पैनल. सो वेब पैनल से आप डिफाइन कर देंगे कौन से आपके SKUs हीरो SKUs हैं, देन उसके अगेंस्ट एक स्टार आइकन आ रहा होगा. तो बेसिकली ऑर्डर बुकर को एक आइडेंटिफिकेशन भी हो जाएगी कि आपका ये इंपॉर्टेंट SKU है एंड उसको वो सेल करें. Similarly, ये customization is not restricted on SKU level. This can be done on brand level as well. So अगर आप ब्रांड्स में जाते हैं तो ब्रांड्स में भी आप कस्टम लेबल्स ब्रांड पे डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल नीचे आप देख सकते हैं वैल्यू एडेड ब्रांड पे लिखा हुआ आ रहा है. सो ब्रांड्स पे भी आप ये कस्टमाइजेशन कर सकते हैं. एंड नाउ वी हैव आल्सो बिल्ट कस्टम सॉर्ट फीचर. सो फॉर एग्जांपल अगर आप चाहते हैं कि आपके कुछ प्रायोरिटी SKUs टॉप पे आ जाएं, तो आप उसकी इंडेक्सिंग भी कर सकते हैं वेब पैनल के थ्रू. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं चाहता हूँ SKU A और SKU B जो है मेरा फर्स्ट और सेकंड पोजीशन में आना चाहिए, so you can define that dynamically on web panel as well. So custom sorting is not restricted to SKU again. Brand level पे भी आप कौन से ब्रांड्स टॉप पे दिखाने वो भी डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. So let me just go through the quick demo कि आप वेब पैनल से किस तरह ये सेट कर सकते हैं. Okay, so basically web panel पे we have a setting जो डायनेमिक सेटिंग है. फॉर एग्जांपल वैल्यू एडेड डिफॉल्ट नेम क्या होना चाहिए उसका. जैसा ऐप में आप देख रहे थे वैल्यू एडेड का लेबल आ रहा था ऑन एप्लीकेशन. सो इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि वैल्यू एडेड ही लेबल हो उसका, आप उसको कोई भी लेबल दे सकते हो. फॉर एग्जांपल हीरो SKU अगर आप लिख दें उसको, देन एप्लीकेशन पे वो हीरो SKU का लेबल आ रहा होगा. एंड अगर आपको कस्टम सॉर्ट एनेबल करना है कि SKUs की कस्टम इंडेक्सिंग आपने करनी है, कौन सा SKU टॉप पे दिखाना है, कौन से नंबरिंग बेसिकली करनी है, सो वो भी आप डायनेमिकली डिफाइन कर सकते हैं कि आपने सॉर्ट करना है SKU को या नहीं. सो दिस इज द जनरल सिस्टम सेटिंग. अब SKU लेवल पे आप किस तरह डिफाइन करते हैं, लेट मी जस्ट गो थ्रू दैट एज वेल. So if I just go to update SKUs info, so CSV के थ्रू आप लोग डिफाइन कर सकते हैं कि कौन से आपके SKUs वैल्यू एडेड है, एंड जो SKUs आपके वैल्यू एडेड होंगे उसके अगेंस्ट वो लेबल आ जाएगा जो आप सिस्टम सेटिंग में डिफाइन कर रहे हैं डायनेमिकली. एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो डिफाइन कस्टम इंडेक्सिंग ऑन SKUs, कौन से SKUs आपने टॉप पे दिखाने एप्लीकेशन पे एंड कौन से बाद में दिखाने हैं. तो आप कस्टम ये डायनेमिक सेटिंग है, इफ यू नीड इट यू कैन एनेबल इट एंड इफ यू डोंट नीड इट देन आप उसको यूज ना करें. सिमिलरली जो आपने स्टार आइकन देखा था ऑन एप्लीकेशन, जो गोल्डन स्टार आ रहा था, तो अगर आप चाहते हैं किसी सर्टेन SKU से अगेंस्ट वो इंडिकेशन होनी चाहिए ताकि ऑर्डर बुकर्स को पता हो कि ये इंपॉर्टेंट SKU है, इसकी सेल बढ़ानी है. सो ये भी आप डायनेमिकली डिफाइन कर सकते हैं थ्रू वेब पैनल. सो नाउ कमिंग बैक टू ऐप. So the last feature that I'll be talking about is the visibility of FOCs on application. So पहले ये होता था कि आपके FOCs प्रमोशंस में एप्लीकेबल होते थे लेकिन उसकी विजिबिलिटी नहीं होती थी एप्लीकेशन पे. तो ऑर्डर बुकर को एग्जैक्टली पता नहीं होता था कि दुकान को आप फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट कौन सा आइटम्स दे रहे हैं. सो लेट मी जस्ट फिनिश दिस ऑर्डर. So जब आप promotion summary view करते हैं तो आप वहीं नीचे ही जो आपके FOCs available होंगे वो सारे भी listed हो जाएंगे. Previously से promotions जो आपकी apply होती थी वो आती थी, लेकिन FOCs related information नहीं आती थी. But now आपके जो FOCs भी available promotions apply हो रहे होंगे वो भी आपको नजर आ रहे होंगे in the app. So that was it regarding the application. So if you have any questions, you can drop on chat or you can ask after the end of presentation. So over to you, Saman. Thank you.
Thank you, Salman. Okay. So guys, that was it regarding the demos for the web and the mobile application. Now I'll be talking to you about some minor improvements that we've done in the system. That is, while you're placing a secondary order through web, we've also displayed the channel and the CNIC number for the store, along with the store name that was already present over there. The second improvement that we've done is regarding promotion duplication. So for those customers who have been duplicating promotions, what happened was that previously you weren't able to you weren't able to select any additional SKUs. You had to reselect all the product hierarchy and then select any new SKUs in a duplicated promotion. But now you'll be able to do that as well. And we further added some concatenation of SKU code with promotions in the promotion SKU code. The second last thing that that Salman also talked about was that the order bookers will now also be able to see FOCs in the mobile application. He also showed you that if you give a certain promotion and whatever SKU that is going free of cost, you'll be able to see it. Lastly, last time we talked about the distributor must sell feature. So this time what we've done is we've introduced the CSV upload part for this feature as well, so that you're able to speed up your operations. Yeah. So that was it regarding the new developments for the December release. I'll be showing you some of the upcoming innovations that you can expect from us in the 5th January, the 5th February, or the 5th March release. This is again the February and March releases are subject to change, but the 5th January one is something that we've started working on. So you can expect some new innovations in our next release, inshallah. Yeah, so feel free to drop in any questions that you have in the chat window. We have been answering a few questions throughout the session as well, but if you have any further questions, we'll be happy to take them. Okay, so so there is a question of, in the case of DD to SD, what happened to the OBs? So all assets that that a DD had previously, they all are shifted along when the distributor type is changed. So जो भी DD के पास चीजें थी, जो भी उसके पास सेल थी, वो सारी SD के साथ जब वो मूव करेगा तो उसमें वो लेके जाएगा. So उसकी वो transactions वगैरह सारी अपनी देख भी सकता है past की. Okay, question regarding SDR. What if shopkeeper have multiple batches of the same SKU in SDR? What if shopkeeper? So आपके किसी भी batch के against हो जाएगा return. I hope that answered your question. अच्छा, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर मस्ट सेल जो है उसके ऊपर आप वैल्यू एडेड एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर मस्ट सेल एक क्लासिफाई करने का डिफरेंट तरीका है कि एक पे आप रिस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं लगा सकते हो कि ये आपने बेचना ही बेचना है, एंड वैल्यू एडेड आप वैसे ही क्लासिफाई कर सकते हो कि ये दिस इज अ गुड टू हैव good to have SKU in the order, and बाद में आप reporting level पे ये भी देख सकते हो कि कितने order bookers की जो sale थी उसमें उन्होंने distributor must sell book किया है या value added SKUs पे ज़्यादा booking करके लाए या ऐसी normal से जो SKUs हैं उनके ऊपर किया है सही है so उसके ऊपर भी आप फिर reporting देख सकते हैं.
Yes, so adding further on what someone said, so value added में और MSS में ये basically फर्क है कि MSS value added में you can define custom labels on SKUs. तो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जैसे must sell पे तो label आ रहा होता है कि आपका ये SKU must sell है. Value added में आप dynamically define कर सकते हैं. आप कोई भी अपनी कंपनी का लेबल दे सकते हैं, हीरो SKU define कर सकते हैं, तो वो exactly आ रहा होगा on app.
Can we update SKU barcodes using CSV uploader? Actually, we haven't presented SKU barcodes, but if there is a gap in the system, we can work on it. Yeah, हम देखेंगे इसको कि अगर ये already present है, because there are a lot of attributes against which there are CSV uploaders already present. अच्छा. Then can we change MD of a particular SD keeping his old MD active? Can you change MD of a particular? Zoha will be better.
We can change the MD of a particular SD. What will happen is again, जो भी उससे linked उसकी सारी चीजें होंगी, उसकी sale होंगी, that will move on to another MD. So we can change the SD of the MD of a particular SD. तो अभी भी अगर आप edit करेंगे किसी भी SD के MD को मतलब किसी भी SD को edit करेंगे तो you can change the MD is no longer a frozen field. You can select another MD and then you can select कि कौन सा MD would be the new MD of this particular SD.
अच्छा, so एक है कि we don't have must sell on SKU level. We do have must sell on SKU level. We've made some updates and we talked about it in our last release as well. Must sell के ऊपर हमने किए हैं. आपके जो relevant customer success person है ना वो भी आपको उसके ऊपर और clarity दे देंगे in case you have any कोई specific use case है जो आप cater करना चाह रहे हैं तो वो आपकी help out कर देंगे. इसमें ठीक है. Any other questions that anyone has? Okay, so I think that's it. If there are no further questions, we can move on to concluding the session. Okay, so we'll be sharing a feedback form and उसके ऊपर आप अपने comments and whatever you feel कि was the session productive or not, whatever your feedback is, please do help us improve. And अच्छा एक minute, we've got can we cater app user wise credit limit. अच्छा, so ये someone answered this question earlier कि since distributor से linked होते हैं आपके order bookers तो आपकी credit limit भी उसके ऊपर fall करती है. मतलब if you set a credit limit against the store, particularly अगर आप app user के ऊपर restrict करना चाह रहे हैं कि like वो 1,000 rupees का उधार दे सके market में, if this is the use case that you're talking about, then इस पे हमें थोड़ा सा और further clarity चाहिए होगी. हम देख सकते हैं इसको कि किस तरह से implement करना है. But currently जो है आप store के ऊपर, this is store wise credit limit कि आप कि कितने store पे आप उधार देना चाह रहे हैं. Okay. उमर, आपके जो भी CSM है ना आप उनके साथ भी connect कर लीजिएगा. अगर कोई और requirement है आपकी तो हम देख लेते हैं उसको किस तरीके से हमने cater करना है फिर. ठीक है. Yeah. So if अगर किसी और के नहीं है questions, so let's move on to concluding the session. Yeah. So as I was saying कि we'll be sharing a feedback form. Please आप लोग अपना हमें feedback जरूर share कीजिएगा कि whether you felt that the session was productive or not. Any feedbacks or comments, you can also share it with your CSM team or the support team. And do help us improve, and we'll make the session more fruitful and more productive for you the next time we meet. So see you all again in the next release. Till then, goodbye everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the session.